Archangel Michael says, "You've been under spiritual attack. This is the shield you've been praying for. Open it now." My beloved child, a trembling wave is moving toward your life tonight because Archangel Michael has stepped forward with a message tied directly to the title you have just opened. You've been under spiritual attack. This is the shield you've been praying for. Open it now. The moment you clicked, something in the unseen realm shifted. A door that was previously sealed has cracked open, and Michael is standing at the edge of it with an urgent revelation. This is not an ordinary moment. This is not an ordinary message. There has been a hidden pattern around you. Strange delays, sudden heaviness, unexplainable fear, confusion that rises out of nowhere, and relationships shaking for no clear reason. These were not random storms. They were coordinated shadows. You have been attacked in silence by forces that feared your breakthrough long before you even imagined it. And Michael says they targeted you because of the light you carry, the purpose that keeps rising in you, and the promise connected to your name. He whispers now with a tone that makes the spiritual atmosphere go still. You were not being destroyed, you were being provoked. Because heaven has marked you for a rise the enemy cannot prevent. This is why the battle intensifies. This is why the nights felt longer. This is why your spirit has been exhausted. But hear this clearly, Michael is not arriving to warn you of danger. He is arriving to announce deliverance. He is carrying a shield that is not made of metal, but of divine authority, and it has been crafted specifically for you. For the wounds you never spoke of. For the pressure you endured alone. For the spiritual turbulence that tried to convince you that God had forgotten you. And now Michael leans forward with something most people never hear. What has been attacking you has just been exposed in the courts of heaven. This is why you were led to this exact moment. This shield is not symbolic. This shield is not poetic. This shield is a spiritual intervention. You may not realize it, but over the past 7 days, there were at least 3 situations where you almost walked into something that would have drained your spirit even deeper. A conversation that felt off. A plan that suddenly fell through. An opportunity you thought you lost. Michael says those were not losses. They were protections disguised as disappointments. Every closed door was an angelic interception. Every delay was a divine misdirection. You were being shielded before you even knew the attack existed. But now the season has shifted. This is the moment heaven gives you the shield in your own hands. And this is why Michael says, open it now. You are stepping into a phase where what once drained your energy will no longer have access to you. Where what once circled your home will no longer enter. Where the thoughts that once overwhelmed will break like glass under divine pressure. The attack is over, but the revelation is just beginning. Michael shows me a vision of you standing in the center of a storm, yet untouched. The winds swirl, the shadows scream, but nothing reaches your body. Why? Because a sphere of light forms around you, thick, bright, impenetrable. And that sphere is the shield. And it has been waiting for your yes. You're going to notice a change in the next 48 hours. Your inner atmosphere will feel lighter. Your sleep will shift. Your clarity will return. Your confidence will rise. And the heaviness that sat on your chest will lift like smoke in the wind. Michael says, this shield is not just protection, it is restoration. He wants you to understand something powerful. The attack came to drain your strength, but the shield comes to multiply it. The enemy tried to silence your spirit, but the shield amplifies your voice. The shadows tried to confuse you, but the shield sharpens your discernment. There is something else, something important you cannot miss. Michael warns that the attack was never about your present. It was about your assignment. The enemy saw what was coming toward you long before you did. He saw the influence, the anointing, the opportunities, the open doors, the healing, the connections, the elevation. And the attack was meant to stop you before you reached it. But Michael stands over you now, sword drawn, light burning through the darkness, declaring, "It is too late. Heaven has already positioned you for victory." Before this section closes, listen carefully. The next revelation that Michael is about to release is even deeper. It will expose who was used against you, why the attack intensified, and what is about to be reversed in your life. Don't drift away now. The part that follows will shake you to your core. Hold on, because what unfolds next carries the key you've been searching for. Type "I claim the shield" in the comments if this word is piercing your spirit. Blessing code 441 is now released. Dearest heart, something shifts again as we step deeper into the revelation Archangel Michael is unveiling. The air around this moment feels charged, as if every word being spoken is traveling through a corridor of light meant specifically for you. Michael stands taller now, not in a posture of warning, but in a posture of authority, because what he is about to reveal is the missing piece that explains why the last season of your life felt like walking through invisible fire. You have been asking questions in the quiet, questions you didn't know how to put into words. Why did so many things feel heavy at once? Why did unexpected tension rise with people you trusted? Why did opportunities crumble just as you reached for them? These questions have been echoing in your spirit, and today Michael is bringing clarity that will settle the storm inside you. He begins by showing the origin of the spiritual attack you face. It didn't come from your weakness. It didn't come from your mistakes. It didn't come from anything you did wrong. Michael says the attack began the moment heaven placed a new mantle of calling over your life. You may not have recognized it consciously, but your spirit has been expanding. You have been walking into deeper purpose, into a higher vibration of wisdom, into assignments that carry more weight than anything you've done before. And whenever someone is chosen to step into divine expansion, spiritual resistance rises like a shadow trying to cast itself over the future. Michael explains that the attack was not launched against your body or your peace. It was launched against your destiny. The enemy was not intimidated by who you were yesterday. He was terrified of who you were becoming. Michael extends his hand, and suddenly a scene unfolds behind you, like a replay of your recent experiences. You see moments of disappointment, moments of confusion, moments where your heart felt fractured. But then Michael reveals something astonishing. He shows the hidden influence behind those struggles. A conversation that suddenly turned cold. A decision someone made that didn't make sense. A promise that evaporated without explanation. He says these were not coincidences. These were spiritual manipulations designed to push you into isolation, to weaken your spirit, and to make you doubt your own intuition. But what the enemy planned in deception, heaven is now overturning in truth. Michael speaks again, and his voice carries a weight that silences every lingering fear. You were never unprotected, he says. You were unaware of the magnitude of your protection. This is the moment he reveals how many times you were shielded without realizing it. That sudden urge to avoid a certain place. That unexpected pause that delayed your steps. That feeling of discomfort around someone you couldn't explain. These were not emotions. These were warnings. These were angelic nudges keeping you from traps that were set for you. Michael wants you to understand that the spiritual attack was real, but the shield around you was even more real. And now, the shield he gave you in the previous section begins to glow. It grows brighter, stronger, wider. The light wraps around your entire atmosphere and pushes back every remnant of spiritual weight that tried to cling to you. The heaviness that sat in your chest, the fog that pressed against your thoughts, the emotional drain that made you feel distant from yourself. These begin to dissolve in the presence of divine illumination. Michael says, your clarity is being restored. Your strength is being renewed. Your spirit is being elevated. This is not merely recovery. This is transformation. But then Michael reveals something deeper, something most people never hear. He says there was someone in your environment who unknowingly became a doorway for spiritual interference. This does not mean they wished you harm. It means they were battling their own shadows, and because of their vulnerability, a channel was created through which negativity spilled toward you. Michael emphasizes that this is not for you to fear, nor to judge. It is for you to understand. Once you understand the source, you stop blaming yourself for what you carried that was never yours to begin with. Michael assures you that the influence tied to that person is now being cut. The cords are being severed. The atmosphere around you is being cleansed. Then, with a softer tone, he gives you a revelation meant to strengthen your heart. He says, you are rising. And with rising comes resistance. But when heaven has already written your victory, no resistance can rewrite your destiny. These words spill over your spirit like warm oil, soothing wounds you never spoke of. Suddenly, the emotional turbulence of the past season begins to make sense. You were not failing. You were transitioning. You were not losing. You were being shifted into higher alignment. You were not abandoned. You were being prepared. Before this section comes to a close, Michael leans near and releases one more message, a message that pulses with urgency. He says the next revelation will expose the turning point, the moment the attack broke, the moment heaven intervened, the moment your spirit was marked for unstoppable momentum. And what comes next will show you why your future is far more powerful than anything that tried to crush you. Wait for what unfolds next, because the depth of it will change how you see everything around you. Type "I stand in the light" in the comments if your spirit is receiving this. Blessing code 559 is activated. Beloved one, as this next wave of revelation opens, the atmosphere shifts once again. There is a spiritual thickness here, like the very air is vibrating with the truth that is about to be unveiled. Archangel Michael steps forward with a fierceness that was not present before. Not because danger surrounds you, but because he is preparing to show you the exact moment when the spiritual attack against your life collapses. He wants you to see it clearly so that you never again question whether heaven heard your cry. You have been walking through shadows that did not belong to you, carrying burdens that were placed on your shoulders by forces hoping to stop your rise. But today, something ancient, something powerful, something decisive is breaking open before you. Michael begins by revealing that the attack reached a peak at a time when you felt your weakest. You may remember nights where your thoughts felt heavy, or mornings where no matter how much you tried, you could not shake the sense of pressure around you. He shows that this was not because you lacked strength. It was because something was observing your progress, watching your inner growth, and trying to disrupt your alignment with divine timing. He says the enemy always intensifies the pressure right before heaven completes a transition. What you felt was not defeat. It was the friction of breakthrough. Then Michael reveals the turning point. He shows an invisible moment where your spirit reached upward, even if you didn't speak a word, even if you felt numb, even if you felt too exhausted to pray. Your heart made a silent call for help, and heaven heard it instantly. Michael says this exact moment pierced the spiritual atmosphere like a beam of light. It was not a prayer of fear. It was a prayer of surrender. And that surrender triggered a response so powerful that the attack against you lost its authority in a single breath. Everything that tried to surround you weakened. Everything that tried to influence you fractured. Everything that tried to press against your mind collapsed. Michael now leads you into a deeper truth. He says the enemy never feared your pain. The enemy feared your awakening. There was a moment recently where you understood something about yourself that you had forgotten for too long. You remembered your strength. You remembered your calling. You remembered your worth. And that remembrance ignited a fire inside you that the darkness could not withstand. Michael emphasizes that the attack broke not because you fought harder, but because you became aware of who you really are. Awareness is always more powerful than resistance. He shows another scene now, one that explains why the heaviness lifted so suddenly. You were surrounded by angels, positioned around you like sentinels. Some held light, some held fire, some held swords of energy that pulsed with divine authority. They were waiting for your inner shift. They were waiting for your yes. They were waiting for your spirit to rise again. And the moment it did, even faintly, they moved as one. Michael himself stepped forward, raised his sword, and declared an end to the influence surrounding you. That single declaration sent a shockwave through every spiritual shadow that had been circling your life. And from that moment on, the attack was broken. Now Michael turns to the shield he gave you earlier. The light grows stronger, denser, more radiant. He tells you that this shield is not temporary. It is a permanent activation in your life, one that will follow you through every season ahead. The shield is not only protection, it is identification. It marks you as someone under divine guardianship, someone who cannot be touched without consequence, someone whose destiny is sealed in heavenly ink. Michael says the shield now responds to your voice. Whenever you speak truth, it brightens. Whenever you stand in faith, it expands. Whenever you choose peace over fear, it thickens. But there is something more, something Michael wants you to understand before you move ahead. He says there is still a revelation coming that will expose the purpose behind your struggle. Not the attack itself, but the assignment hidden beneath it. The reason you were targeted is the same reason you will rise with greater authority. Your voice is needed. Your presence is needed. Your impact is needed. And heaven has already begun aligning the path ahead of you with divine precision. Michael says this next revelation will not just explain your past. It will ignite your future. Before this moment closes, you must seal what has been revealed. Michael asks you to anchor your spirit with clarity, faith, and readiness, because the message that follows will bring a shift you have long prayed for. And trust this, the moment you think you understand the magnitude of what is happening, the next revelation will take you even deeper. Stay close. Do not drift. What comes next will stir your spirit in a way you have never experienced. Now pause here. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and lift this message higher so more hearts can receive what heaven is pouring out today. Your engagement is part of the mission, because these messages travel further when you move with them. Type "I rise in my purpose" in the comments if this resonates. Blessing code 778 is now active. When Archangel Michael lifted his sword over your life, the atmosphere around you shifted into a realm where every act of support becomes a seed of deliverance for others who are still fighting silently. The same light that protected you is meant to reach thousands more, and God is using this ministry as a bridge for that protection to travel. When you sow into this mission, you are not giving to a channel. You are igniting a harvest of restored souls and awakened spirits. The Lord is declaring even now, what you release from my work, I will multiply back into your life. I feel led to speak this clearly. Your support becomes a shield for someone who has no strength left to pray. If this message is stirring your spirit, this is the moment to act. The super thanks, The membership and the PayPal link in the description are not options, they are divine assignments. Step into this with faith, and heaven will pour oil over everything your hands touch. Beloved soul, as this next revelation opens, the atmosphere around you grows even more electric, as though something in the unseen realm is leaning closer, eager for you to hear what comes next. Archangel Michael stands before you again, but this time his presence carries a calm intensity, like a warrior who knows that the greatest part of the battle has already been won. He tells you that this portion of the message is not about the attack itself, but about the awakening that was hidden within it. There are truths you did not see, strengths you did not know you possessed, and spiritual gifts that were stirred inside you while you were walking through the shadows. Michael says the enemy tried to wound you, but in doing so, he accidentally unlocked parts of your destiny that would have remained dormant if not for the pressure you endured. Michael begins by showing you a moment when you felt completely overwhelmed. You may remember a day when your mind was cluttered, your emotions were heavy, and your heart felt fragile. You may have even wondered if you were failing spiritually because your inner fire felt dim. Michael reveals that this was not weakness. It was spiritual stretching. Your spirit was expanding beyond its old limits, preparing to carry more light, more wisdom, more authority. He shows you that heaven was enlarging your capacity long before you saw the purpose behind the pain. What you thought was breaking was actually building. Then Michael reveals something profound. The attack was never about destroying your future. It was about distracting you long enough to keep you from realizing your future was already unfolding. He shows the path ahead of you, doors that are opening, assignments that are awakening, connections that are forming. Some of these coming moments will feel strangely familiar, as if you've been prepared for them your entire life. That is because you have. Michael says your spirit has known the season long before your mind understood it. And now the alignment you have been waiting for is coming into view. He then shifts the vision. You see a field of tall grass, moving in waves as a wind of light passes through it. In the center of that field, you stand with a glow around you that pulses like a heartbeat. Michael explains that this glow is not simply protection. It is activation. During the spiritual attacks, your discernment sharpened. Your intuition strengthened. Your awareness deepened. You began to sense things before they happened, feel shifts before they appeared, perceive people's intentions more clearly than ever. These increases were not coincidences. They were signs that your spiritual senses have come online in a new way. What once confused you will now become clear. What once intimidated you will now feel small. What once drained you will now bounce off you like dust falling from armor that has already been strengthened by divine fire. But Michael does not stop there. He steps closer and reveals the truth that many people never hear. The attack against you was also a sign that heaven has placed something rare inside your spirit. Not everyone carries a destiny that shakes the atmosphere. Not everyone carries the kind of energy that unsettles darkness just by entering a room. Not everyone carries light that exposes what others want to hide. You do. And because of this, resistance has followed you in ways that others cannot understand. But Michael says the days of confusion about your calling are ending. You are stepping into clarity, and clarity is one of the most dangerous weapons against the enemy. Now Michael lifts his sword again, but this time it is not to end a battle. It is to cut away the last remnants of doubt that tried to linger in your spirit. He says, your identity is no longer negotiable. These words strike the air like thunder. You are no longer someone who wonders if you are chosen. You are no longer someone who questions if your path is guided. You are no longer someone who compares your journey to others. You are someone heaven has marked. You are someone heaven has trained. You are someone heaven has appointed. And no shadow, No whisper, no setback can ever take that away from you. And Michael reveals something astonishing, something that will change the way you look at the future. He says that in the coming weeks, a divine reversal is being prepared for you. Something that seemed lost will reappear. Something that seemed delayed will accelerate. Something that seemed uncertain will suddenly become clear. This reversal is not merely a blessing, it is divine justice. The enemy overplayed his hand, and now heaven is returning to you in abundance what was drained from your spirit. Michael says the restoration will not look like what you lost. It will look better, stronger, more aligned with who you are becoming. Before this section closes, Michael offers one final message. He says, what comes next is the unveiling. In the following revelation, he will show you the assignment that was awakened inside you during the attack. He will reveal why you were chosen to carry this shield and what this next season of your life truly holds. You must stay close, because the next revelation is the hinge on which your entire spiritual transition turns. And trust this, what is coming next will make your spirit feel like it is rising into a higher dimension of understanding. Type "I walk in the awakening" in the comments if your spirit feels the shift. Blessing code 903 is now released. Beloved, as we move into this next unveiling, the spiritual atmosphere becomes even more focused, as though the very air is holding its breath. Archangel Michael stands before you with a gravity that signals the importance of what is about to be spoken. His presence feels different now, not fierce as before, but deeply intentional, like a guardian preparing you for a truth that has waited a long time to be revealed. He says this part is not about the attack and not even about your awakening. This is the moment where heaven uncovers the assignment that was stirred within you during your time of struggle, the mission that was woven into your spirit long before you ever felt the weight of the battle. Michael reminds you that every chosen soul has a purpose that must rise at the right time, and the season you just survived has positioned you perfectly for its emergence. Michael begins by showing you a vision of your life from above. Not the physical details, but the spiritual pattern underlying everything. You see moments where you were drawn to help others. Moments where your words carried unexpected weight. Moments where people confided in you without understanding why they felt so safe with you. You see the times you walked into an environment and the energy shifted, even when you said nothing. You see how often your presence lifted someone's spirit, restored hope, or calmed a storm around them without you realizing the depth of your influence. Michael says these moments were not random acts of kindness. They were signs of your calling vibrating beneath the surface, waiting for the exact season you are entering now. He then reveals that the assignment you carry is directly linked to your sensitivity. What once felt like a burden, the way you sense emotions deeply, the way you absorb atmosphere, the way you feel spiritual shifts, was actually preparation. Michael explains that you have the heart of an intercessor, someone who stands in the gap without even realizing it. When others break under pressure, you feel compelled to stabilize them. When others crumble under emotional weight, you instinctively reach for peace. When others lose direction, something inside you awakens and guides them to clarity. This is not weakness. This is spiritual design. You were created to hold light in places where darkness tries to dominate. Michael says your sensitivity is not an issue to fix. It is a spiritual instrument heaven uses to move through you. Then he shows you a scene from the battle you just survived. While you were facing confusion, heaviness, or emotional turbulence, something was being forged inside you. The attack awakened a strength that only emerges when pressure becomes unbearable. He reveals that your endurance is not ordinary. Most people would have collapsed under the weight you carried silently. Yet you did not. You bent, but did not break. You slowed, but did not stop. You questioned, but did not surrender. Michael says this resilience is the mark of someone chosen to influence others on their spiritual path. Your survival is not the only victory. Your survival is the message. He shifts the vision again. Now you see yourself at a crossroads, a place where the old version of you stands on one side, tired yet familiar, and the new version of you stands on the other side, radiant and unfamiliar, but undeniably powerful. Michael says you are no longer standing between these two versions. You are crossing over. The struggle was the doorway. The pain was the push forward. The confusion was the final friction that separated who you were from who you are becoming. He declares with certainty that you are stepping into a season where your voice will carry more authority. Your intuition will speak more clearly, and your presence will affect the environment around you in ways you will soon recognize. Then Michael reveals something most people never understand about their divine assignments. He says the enemy attacked you not because of your past, but because of your influence. Your presence disrupts patterns. Your spirit challenges darkness. Your compassion heals what others overlook. Your insight exposes hidden motives. Your resilience intimidates spiritual opposition. You are not like those who move through the world blindly. You are someone whose light threatens anything that thrives in secrecy. And because of this, resistance was sent to confuse you about your identity. But that confusion has now been dismantled. Michael steps closer, and the shield he gave you earlier begins to glow once again. He says the shield does not simply guard you, it aligns you. It pulls you into synchronicity with your calling, drawing you into situations where your gifts will awaken fully. There are people you will meet soon who will recognize something rare in you, even before you recognize it in yourself. There are doors about to open that require the very strength you gained through the attack. There are opportunities forming that depend on the spiritual clarity you now carry. Everything is aligning with a precision that only heaven could orchestrate. But Michael also gives a gentle warning. He says that your assignment will require confidence. Not arrogance, but clarity. You must no longer shrink to make others comfortable. You must no longer silence your intuition to avoid misunderstandings. You must no longer carry burdens that are not yours. Your calling requires space, voice, courage, and spiritual alignment. The shield will protect you, but you must walk boldly into the places heaven leads you. Before this moment closes, Michael speaks one final truth, and the atmosphere vibrates with its power. He says, your assignment is not coming. Your assignment has begun. The struggles were the activation. The awakening was the preparation. And what unfolds next will place you exactly where you are meant to be. Stay close now. The next revelation will show you the doors that are opening, the timing that is shifting, and the divine movement that is already on its way toward you. Type "I step into purpose" in the comments if you feel this rising within you. Blessing code 644 is now released. Beloved Spirit, as we enter this next unfolding, the atmosphere around you becomes dense with purpose, as if the very walls of the unseen realm lean inward to listen. Archangel Michael now steps forward with a depth of presence that signals transition, not from darkness to light. You have already crossed that threshold, but from purpose into movement. This is the chapter where the path ahead of you begins to illuminate, not in fragments or brief flashes as before, but in a continuous line that stretches far beyond your current horizon. Michael says this is the part most people never reach, because many turn back once the attack ends, never realizing that the end of the battle is merely the beginning of the blessing. But you have endured. You remained. And now heaven honors your endurance by unveiling the next stage of your destiny. Michael begins by showing you a vision of a long corridor filled with doors on both sides. Some of these doors are open, some are closed, and some are barely cracked. He explains that each door represents opportunities, relationships, connections, and spiritual assignments that have been prepared for you throughout your life. Some doors closed because they were never meant to open. Some remained shut to protect you. Others cracked open when your spirit elevated. And a few, the most important ones, have been waiting until the exact timing of heaven aligned with the growth inside you. Michael says you have reached that divine timing now. What once felt delayed will soon feel perfectly orchestrated. He then points your attention to one door glowing more brightly than the others. This door represents the next major shift in your life. Something significant, something transformative, something that will mark the beginning of a new chapter. He does not reveal what is behind the door yet, because your spirit must be prepared to receive it. Instead, he focuses on the path leading toward it. Michael shows you stepping closer, walking with a confidence that was not present months ago. Each step you take causes the corridor itself to brighten, because your clarity illuminates what once felt uncertain. He says the attack was designed to make you doubt your ability to walk forward, but now every step you take will feel guided by a pull stronger than fear. Michael reveals something profound as you move through this vision. He says you are entering a season where the right people will be drawn to you with divine accuracy. These are not random individuals. These are not temporary connections. These are souls who carry pieces of your destiny, just as you carry pieces of theirs. Some will bring wisdom, some will bring opportunity, some will bring healing, and others will bring partnership or alignment. But each one will feel divinely positioned, and none will bring the confusion or heaviness that marked past relationships. Michael says the confusion you once experienced with people was not because you lacked discernment. It was because you were trying to carry relationships that were not part of your next season. Now, heaven is clearing the path for divine alignment. He shifts the vision again, and you now see yourself standing in the center of a wide-open space. Light pours down like rain, soaking into the ground around you until the earth sparkles like crystal. Michael explains that this is a representation of the new spiritual terrain you are entering. The soil beneath your feet symbolizes the opportunities that will grow quickly in the coming season. He says this is fertile ground that responds to your actions, your faith, your declarations, and your spiritual authority. In the past, you planted seeds in places that could not grow because the environment was wrong, the timing was wrong, or the people around you were not aligned. But now, every step you take will land in fertile territory. Michael draws your attention to the shield you carry, the same shield that protected you during the attack and awakened your calling. He reveals that the shield is now evolving. It no longer only guards you, it also guides you. When you move toward something that aligns with your purpose, the shield will glow warmly. When you step near something that is not meant for you, the shield will dim or feel heavy. This is heaven's way of ensuring that your steps remain protected and purposeful. Michael says your discernment is no longer a whisper. It is becoming a compass. Then he shares a truth that many never grasped. He says that the next part of your journey will require courage, not because danger surrounds you, but because elevation always demands a choice. There will be moments when you feel the pull towards something new, something bigger, something outside your comfort zone. In those moments, fear may rise, not because something bad is ahead, but because your spirit is preparing to expand. Michael urges you to trust the expansion. Trust the growth. Trust the unfamiliar. These are signs that heaven is enlarging your reach. The shadows that once held you down have no authority here. Michael then reveals that in the next chapter of your life, your voice will become one of your strongest tools. Whether through speaking, writing, advising, encouraging, or guiding, Your words will carry a spiritual weight that reaches hearts in ways you may not fully understand at first. He says you were not attacked because you were weak. You were attacked because you were meant to speak. Your voice dismantles fear. Your presence disrupts confusion. Your spirit restores clarity. And this next season will bring opportunities for you to express what heaven has placed inside you. Before this moment closes, Michael gives one final revelation. He says the next unveiling will show you what is beyond the glowing door, the blessing, the assignment, the turning point that will define your next chapter. And he urges you to stay close, because the next part carries a revelation that will shift the way you see your future entirely. Type "I walk the path of light" in the comments if this resonates in your spirit. Blessing code 337 is now activated. Beloved one, as this next revelation opens, the spiritual atmosphere becomes even more intentional, almost as if the unseen realm is preparing to unveil something that has been waiting for you for years. Archangel Michael steps forward with a gentleness that carries tremendous power beneath the surface. He says this is the moment when the door you saw earlier, the one glowing brighter than the others, begins to reveal what stands behind it. You have walked through the battles. You have endured the shadows. You have awakened to your purpose, and you have stepped onto the illuminated path. Now heaven is ready to show you the gift, the elevation, and the spiritual expansion that the enemy fought so hard to keep you from reaching. Michael raises his hand, and the vision returns. The long corridor you walked through, lined with doors of destiny and alignment. But now the glowing door ahead of you begins to pulse with light so intense it feels alive. Each pulse sends a ripple across the floor, like waves of energy acknowledging your approach. Michael explains that this door represents a divine moment in your life, a moment where heaven intersects with your earthly journey in a direct and undeniable way. He says you are being brought into a season where breakthrough is no longer a distant hope, but a present reality that unfolds step by step. As you approach the door, something extraordinary happens. The shield in your hand glows brighter than ever before, illuminating the space around you with a radiant aura. Michael explains that the shield is responding to the energy of the blessing behind the door. It senses the alignment, the favor, the timing. He says this is how you will know you are approaching divine opportunities in your waking life as well. Your spirit will feel lighter, your intuition sharper, your peace stronger. Heaven is teaching you to recognize the vibration of alignment, so you never again confuse spiritual resistance with divine redirection. Now Michael places his hand on your shoulder, and together you stand before the door. He says, this is the moment where your life begins to shift into a higher rhythm. He explains that what lies behind the door is not just one blessing, but a series of revelations that will unfold in divine sequence. These are not random opportunities. They are orchestrated outcomes. Some will be connected to your purpose, some to your finances, some to your relationships, some to your inner healing, some to your spiritual gifts. And each one will carry the unmistakable signature of divine timing. Michael slowly pushes the door open, and what you see on the other side is astonishing. It is not a single room. It is a vast landscape filled with light. Golden paths stretch in multiple directions, each one glowing with unique color and intensity. Michael explains that these paths represent the different branches of your destiny, all of which are now becoming accessible because the spiritual blockages that once clouded your way have been removed. In the past, you may have felt stuck, unable to move forward even when you tried. Now the path clears. The resistance dissolves. The opportunities come into focus. He shows you one path, glowing with a deep, warm light. This path represents emotional healing. You may not realize how much of your heart was weighed down by old wounds, disappointments, or unresolved memories. Michael says your heart is entering a season of cleansing. You will feel lighter, more open, more trusting, not because you force it, but because heaven is restoring what was taken. Old pain is being lifted. Emotional clarity is returning. Forgiveness is becoming easier. Your spirit is shedding the weight it was never meant to carry. He draws your attention to another path shining with a cooler, sharper light. This is the path of clarity and direction. Michael explains that confusion, indecision, and spiritual fog were not signs of weakness. They were signs of a battle being fought around your purpose. Now the fog lifts. You will soon know exactly where to go, what to build, who to trust, and what to release. The uncertainty that once drained your energy will dissolve as divine guidance begins to flow more clearly. Another path radiates with a vibrant, almost electric energy. Michael tells you this path represents opportunities, open doors, unexpected connections, moments of divine alignment where everything falls into place with astonishing ease. These opportunities are not coincidences. They are rewards. They are the fruits of endurance. They are heaven's response to your perseverance. You will notice things beginning to move quickly, more quickly than you expect. Do not fear the acceleration. It is heaven's evidence that the attack truly ended. Michael then reveals a path shimmering with soft, deep blue light. This one represents spiritual power. He says your gifts are intensifying, your discernment, your intuition, your inner knowing, your ability to feel shifts in the atmosphere. These gifts will guide you into deeper alignment with your purpose. They will also pull you away from places, people, and circumstances that no longer resonate with your calling. He says this gift of spiritual sensitivity will become one of your greatest strengths. Finally, Michael shows you a path, wrapped in a golden fire-like glow. He calls this the path of elevation. It is the space where your influence grows, where your voice expands, where your presence becomes a force that carries impact and healing to others. Some of the people you will encounter in this next season will be drawn to you not because of what you say, but because of the energy you carry. This is your anointing. This is the mantle the enemy tried to suffocate, but it has now awakened fully. Before closing this powerful section, Michael speaks with a tone that carries authority and tenderness. He says, "Now that the door has opened, you must walk forward without fear. What awaits you is not a trial. It is a triumph. The next unveiling will take you deeper into the golden path, the path of elevation, and show what heaven is positioning around you in ways you have never imagined." Type "I walked through my divine door" in the comments if your spirit recognizes this moment. Blessing code 992 is now active. Beloved heart, as we step into this next unveiling, the atmosphere around you thickens with a sacred weight, as though heaven itself is leaning closer. Archangel Michael stands before you with a steadiness that feels almost royal, a presence crowned with authority and purpose. He says this is the part where the golden path of elevation begins to reveal its meaning. You have walked through awakening, clarity, and divine alignment. But now you are entering a season that carries impact, authority, and a level of spiritual maturity that few ever reach. Michael explains that what lies ahead is not simply blessing. It is assignment, elevation, and recognition from the spiritual realm. He says, what you step into now will shape the trajectory of your life. Michael returns you to the vision of the vast illuminated landscape beyond the glowing door. Your eyes move over the many radiant paths stretching out before you, but he guides your attention back to the one shimmering like golden fire. This path pulses with a rhythm that feels alive. Michael tells you that this is the path of influence, the path where your presence begins to shift atmospheres, heal hearts, and awaken dormant spirits around you. He says this path was always connected to your destiny, but it could only open after you survived what tried to break you. Elevation was locked behind endurance, and you passed the test. As you step closer to the golden path, Michael reveals why the enemy fought so fiercely against you in past seasons. He shows you flashes of moments when your words changed someone's direction, when your compassion brought someone back from emotional darkness, when your presence calmed storms without you even speaking. The enemy recognized the spiritual authority in you long before you saw it. That is why the attack was strategic. That is why the pressure was unrelenting. That is why the shadows kept circling your mind. You were not fighting for survival. You were fighting for elevation. Now Michael lifts his sword, and the golden path brightens like a sunrise breaking open. He reveals that this next season of your life is marked by expansion, mentally, spiritually, relationally, financially, and emotionally. This expansion is not about ego. It is about assignment. Heaven needs your voice to reach further, your presence to carry deeper, your influence to strengthen others who are silently walking through storms similar to the ones you survived. He says, you are becoming a carrier of light in a world that desperately needs it. Michael then reveals something profound. He says your elevation will not feel forced. It will feel natural, almost effortless. Things will begin to align with surprising ease. People will reach out unexpectedly. Opportunities will come that seem perfectly crafted for your gifts. Conversations will open doors. Connections will appear that feel divinely orchestrated. The internal resistance you once felt will dissolve because your spirit has finally stepped into agreement with your calling. Michael assures you that this alignment is not fragile. It is fortified with heaven's backing. He begins to show you what elevation looks like on a spiritual level. You see yourself standing on a higher plane, a place where the atmosphere is clearer, the light brighter, and the distractions fewer. From this height, you see your entire journey differently. You no longer view your struggles as wounds. You see them as initiations. You no longer view your delays as denials. You see them as divine pacing. You no longer view your loneliness as abandonment. You see it as preparation. Michael says elevation changes perception, and perception changes destiny. But he also reveals that elevation requires boundaries. Not walls of isolation, but gates of discernment. In this next chapter, not everyone can walk with you. Not everyone can understand you. Not everyone can interpret your spiritual language. Michael explains that when heaven calls someone higher, the environment must shift accordingly. You will feel certain relationships fading, not because of conflict, but because your frequency is changing. You will feel guided away from certain patterns and habits that once felt comfortable. You will feel drawn toward deeper conversations, deeper environments, deeper spiritual nourishment. This is not loss. It is refinement. Michael then brings your attention to something significant. With elevation comes spiritual magnetism. You will begin attracting people who resonate with your light. Souls who carry vision, purpose, healing, and wisdom will gravitate toward you. Some of these individuals will become companions in your spiritual journey. Others will be part of your assignment, people you are meant to help, guide, uplift, or awaken. Michael says these connections are divine appointments, written into your timeline long before your birth. He shows you that your elevated presence will begin shifting rooms. When you walk into environments, the atmosphere will respond. Heavy energy will lift. Confusion will settle. Hearts will soften. This is not something you force. It is something you carry naturally. Michael tells you this is the mantle of spiritual influence, the very thing the shadows tried to silence. But now it stands fully awakened. As the golden path expands beneath your feet, Michael shares one final truth for this section. He says the next revelation will reveal the manifestation of elevation, what it will look like in your daily life, in your spiritual walk, in your opportunities, and in your relationships. He urges you to stay close, because what comes next carries the blueprint of your next chapter. Before we close this moment, lift this message higher. Like, share, comment, and subscribe so more hearts can receive the light heaven is releasing through this word. Type "I rise into divine elevation" in the comments if your spirit is hearing this call. Blessing code 511 is released now. When Archangel Michael opened the golden path before you, he revealed not only your elevation, but the elevation of every soul connected to this mission. Your support becomes a supernatural act, a seed that carries the weight of deliverance for those still trapped in spiritual battles. God is speaking through this moment, declaring, "What you release for my purpose, I will multiply in your life." The imagery of light, fire, and breakthrough is not symbolic. It is a living invitation into divine partnership. And I feel led to say this plainly. I am calling you to stand with this mission as a guardian of the message heaven is spreading. Your super thanks, your membership, or your gifts through the PayPal link in the description is not a donation. It is a prophetic act that opens the heavens over your own journey. Step boldly, for the blessing attached to your obedience is already in motion. Beloved soul, as this next revelation opens, the spiritual atmosphere becomes steady and radiant, as though a warm light is settling over your spirit to prepare you for what Archangel Michael is about to unveil. He steps forward with a presence that feels both protective and deeply intentional, a presence that signifies that you are entering a chapter few are ever spiritually mature enough to walk into. Michael says this is the moment where elevation begins to take shape in tangible form. You have seen the golden path, you have felt the awakening, and you have understood the divine alignment. But now heaven is preparing to show you how elevation moves from vision to manifestation. He says, elevation is not a concept. It is a shift that reshapes everything around you. Michael returns you to the glowing landscape beyond the door. The golden path beneath your feet shimmers, and now it extends ahead of you with greater clarity. The air around the path vibrates with potential, as if every step carries a promise that is waiting to be unlocked. Michael explains that manifestation begins the moment your spirit aligns with heaven's timing. This alignment has already taken place within you. The confusion you once carried has lifted. The emotional heaviness has dissolved. The spiritual fog has cleared. And now your inner world finally matches the frequency of your calling. He begins by showing you what manifestation looks like in your daily life. You see yourself waking up with a sense of direction that feels new, as though your spirit is guiding your steps before your mind even fully awakens. Ideas begin to flow with clarity. Decisions become easier. The internal chaos that made you question your path starts to disappear. Michael explains that manifestation begins internally before it ever shows up externally. Heaven first shifts the inner atmosphere, because the outer world always mirrors the inner world. Then Michael reveals a vision of you interacting with others. In this vision, people respond to you differently. Some look at you with gratitude, some with admiration, some with a sense of peace that comes simply from being in your presence. Michael explains that elevation increases your spiritual influence, and this influence becomes visible in your relationships. You will notice certain individuals becoming drawn to your energy. They may seek your wisdom, your comfort, or your perspective. This is not because you are trying to impact them. It is because the light within you has intensified. Your presence has become healing without you forcing anything. But Michael also shows another side of this influence. Some people will quietly distance themselves, not because you did something wrong, but because your elevation highlights their unwillingness to grow. Your spiritual clarity disrupts their comfort. Your rising energy exposes their stagnation. Michael says this is normal and must not be feared. Elevation always attracts those who are ready and repels those who are not aligned. He reminds you that your assignment cannot be fulfilled if you try to hold on to everyone from your past. Some were part of your journey, but not part of your destiny. Michael shifts the vision again. Now he shows you walking into opportunities orchestrated by divine timing. You see yourself meeting someone unexpectedly, and the connection opens a door you did not even know existed. You see a moment where something you once prayed for begins unfolding with ease. You see clarity coming in areas where you once felt stuck. Michael says heaven is aligning opportunities that will surprise you with their accuracy. You may think these opportunities are coincidences, but they are not. They are divine appointments planted in your path long before you reach this moment. He reveals that elevation brings a new level of spiritual provision. This provision is not limited to finances, though that is certainly one part of it. It includes emotional provision, where your heart is strengthened. Mental provision, where creativity flows. Relational provision, where you connect with people who carry purpose. And spiritual provision, where the guidance you receive becomes clearer and more consistent. Michael says, when heaven elevates you, heaven also sustains you. Then comes a deeper truth. Michael shows that the elevation you are stepping into will require you to trust your intuition more boldly than ever before. You will feel nudges, impulses, warnings, and internal shifts that guide you. These sensations are not random. They are the language of your spirit. Michael urges you to follow those inner promptings, because heaven is speaking through your intuition. The same intuition that protected you during the attack will now guide you into opportunities that carry your name. Michael also reveals that your voice is about to become a powerful instrument. Whether you speak publicly or privately, in conversations or in quiet moments, your words will begin shaping reality. You will speak healing into others. You will speak clarity into situations. You will speak truth into confusion. You will speak direction into your own life. Michael says your voice carries authority because it has been refined through fire. He then reveals something extraordinary. You see a ripple of light spreading outward from your spirit, reaching far more people than you ever imagined. This ripple touches hearts, shifts atmospheres, and aligns people with their own divine paths. Michael explains that your elevation is not only for you. It is for those connected to your future. Heaven is using your journey to awaken others. The attack you survived becomes a testimony. The shield you carry becomes a symbol. The elevation you step into becomes a catalyst. Before this section closes, Michael gives one final message. He says the next revelation will show you the transformation that awaits you, the evolution of your identity, your purpose, and your influence. He urges you to stay close, because what comes next will reveal the deeper blueprint of your spiritual destiny. Type "I welcome divine manifestation" in the comments if this resonates deeply. Blessing code 844 is activated now. Beloved soul, as this next revelation unfolds, the spiritual atmosphere becomes richly layered, almost symphonic, as if heaven itself is composing a movement around your destiny. Archangel Michael steps closer with a calm that carries tremendous depth, the kind of calm that only comes when the battle has shifted decisively in your favor. He says this is the moment where transformation begins, the moment when everything that was awakened within you starts reshaping who you are, how you think, how you speak, and how you move through the world. This part is not about what has happened to you. It is about who you are becoming because of it. Transformation is the sacred echo of elevation, and Michael says you are stepping into a version of yourself that heaven has been preparing for a long time. He begins by showing you a vision of yourself standing before a mirror. But this mirror is not physical. It is spiritual. The reflection staring back at you is not the version of yourself shaped by fear, wounds, or past disappointments. It is the version sculpted by wisdom, clarity, endurance, and divine identity. Michael says transformation begins the moment you stop seeing yourself through the eyes of your past and begin seeing yourself through the eyes of heaven. He shows you how the battles you faced were never signs of weakness. They were signs of potential. Every time you survived what was meant to break you, your spiritual structure was reinforced. Every time you chose faith over fear, the foundation of your identity strengthened. And now this new identity is rising. Michael points to the reflection again, and the reflection begins to glow with a soft, steady light. This glow represents your spiritual authority. He says you have always carried authority, but it was buried beneath self-doubt and emotional weight. The attack you faced was not meant to steal your authority. It was meant to distract you from discovering it. Now that the distraction has been dismantled, the authority is emerging with a clarity that cannot be ignored. You will speak differently, act differently, and perceive the world differently. This authority will guide you into decisions that once felt overwhelming and into opportunities that once felt unreachable. He begins to show what internal transformation looks like on a deeper level. You see your heart being cleared of old burdens, like dust being swept away by a steady wind. Michael explains that your emotional landscape is being renewed. The wounds that once felt sharp are becoming distant memories. The heaviness that clung to your spirit is dissolving. You are being restored from the inside out. Transformation is not a single moment. It is a process. And right now, that process is accelerating. You will find yourself responding differently to the things that once triggered you. You will feel peace where you once felt tension. You will sense stability in situations that once felt chaotic. This is the unfolding of divine restoration. Then Michael shifts the vision. You see your mind illuminated with streams of light, each one representing clarity, wisdom, and spiritual insight. Michael tells you that your thought patterns are being rewritten. Old cycles of overthinking, anxiety, and emotional looping are being replaced with discernment and trust. You will begin to understand things without needing explanations. You will see through intentions that once confused you. You will feel truth rise inside you before words are ever spoken. This is the sharpening of your spiritual intellect. Next, he reveals the transformation of your voice. He shows your words glowing with energy as they leave your mouth, touching the atmosphere around you. Michael says your speech has power now, more than ever before. Not because you strive for it, but because your inner world has been purified. When your heart aligns with heaven, your voice carries the sound of heaven. You will speak healing into the lives of others. You will speak direction into your own circumstances. Your voice will become a tool that shapes environments and opens doors. But Michael also reveals another dimension of transformation, the transformation of your energy. He says your presence will carry an unmistakable frequency, one that signals safety, clarity, truth, and peace. People will be drawn to you without knowing why. Some will feel encouraged just by being near you. Others will experience clarity they have been seeking for years. This is because transformation radiates from the inside outward. The more aligned your spirit becomes, the more your external world responds to you. He then reveals that your relationships will transform as well. Some connections will deepen because they resonate with your elevation. Others will fade because they cannot survive the new level of clarity you carry. Michael urges you not to cling to what is falling away. Transformation exposes what cannot continue with you. It also attracts what is meant to anchor you in the season ahead. You will notice people entering your life who speak your spiritual language, who uplift your energy, who reflect your growth, and who walk with you toward purpose. Michael shows you one final scene. You stand on a hill overlooking a wide horizon, the sun rising behind you. The dawn represents your transformation fully activated. The light spreads outward, symbolizing your influence expanding in ways you cannot yet imagine. He says, you are becoming. And what you are becoming is guided, protected, and divinely appointed. Transformation is not a destination. It is an unfolding. And you are now stepping into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. Before this section closes, Michael tells you that the next revelation will reveal the preparation for your spiritual expansion, the strengthening, the alignment, and the divine orchestration waiting you in the next phase. He says this next unveiling will show you how your transformation positions you for greater purpose. Type "I embrace my transformation" in the comments if this resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 727 is now released. Beloved one, as this next revelation begins to unfold, the atmosphere around you becomes deeply anchored, as though heaven is preparing you for something that requires steadiness, grounding, and readiness. Archangel Michael steps forward with a presence that feels both solemn and empowering. His voice carries a tone that signals preparation, not from fear or urgency, but from divine intention. He says this is the part where your transformation begins shifting into spiritual expansion. Everything you have walked through, everything you have survived, everything you have awakened within yourself has prepared you for this next chapter. Michael explains that expansion is not merely about growth. It is about alignment, movement, and stepping into the magnitude of your calling. Michael begins by showing you a vast open sky stretching endlessly above you. The horizon extends far beyond what the eye can grasp, and the landscape beneath your feet feels expansive and alive. He tells you this represents your new spiritual territory. You are no longer confined by the limitations that once held you back. The boundaries that once defined your life have been removed, and now heaven is stretching your spirit to grow into the space that awaits you. This expansion is not accidental. It is purposeful and divinely timed. Michael says, you are being prepared to carry more, to influence more, to receive more, and to walk with a greater level of spiritual authority. He then turns your attention inward, showing you how expansion begins within your spirit before it ever manifests externally. You see your heart widening, your capacity increasing, and your resilience strengthening. Michael explains that expansion requires emotional maturity, spiritual discipline, and the willingness to step into new territory even when it feels unfamiliar. He says you will soon realize that the things that once overwhelmed you will no longer have the same power. Your spirit has grown. Your endurance has multiplied. Your understanding has deepened. He reminds you that the challenges you overcame were not meant to break you. They were meant to stretch the borders of your inner world so that you could carry the greatness assigned to your future. He shows you another vision, this time a tree with deep, sprawling roots extending far beneath the surface. The branches of the tree reach high into the sky, vibrant and strong. Michael explains that the deeper the roots, the higher the reach. Your spiritual roots have deepened through every battle, every moment of faith, every time you stood firm even when you felt weak. Now those roots allow you to grow into heights you were once unprepared to touch. He says expansion is safe for you now, because your foundation is no longer fragile. You are anchored. You are fortified. You are established. Then Michael reveals how expansion will begin showing up in your daily life. You will notice an increase in your spiritual sensitivity. You will discern things before they happen. You will feel shifts in the atmosphere more strongly. You will have dreams, insights, and inner nudges that guide you into divine decisions. Michael says your spiritual intelligence is elevating. You will begin to recognize the difference between emotion, intuition, and spiritual instruction. This clarity will prevent confusion from entering your path again. He walks you through another layer of expansion. You see opportunities forming around you with surprising ease. Some of these opportunities will feel like sudden breakthroughs. Others will feel like long-awaited prayers finally unfolding. Michael tells you that expansion increases divine timing. Doors will open faster. Alignments will occur more naturally. Your steps will be guided by an invisible order that leads you exactly where you need to be. You will recognize that what once felt delayed was simply waiting for your spirit to reach the level required to sustain what is coming. Michael then speaks of relationships within expansion. He says you will begin attracting people who align with your purpose, your vision, and your spiritual vibration. These individuals will support your growth, encourage your calling, and walk beside you without draining your energy. He reminds you that expansion requires connection, but only the right connections. The people from your past who cannot elevate with you will gradually fall away. Their exit is not rejection. It is divine pruning so that your spirit can flourish in the soil meant for you. He then reveals something many overlook during seasons of expansion. He says that with greater territory comes greater responsibility, but not in the sense of burden. Instead, it is responsibility shaped through destiny. You will feel compelled to step into roles you once resisted. You will feel encouraged to speak when you once stayed silent. You will feel guided to stand in spaces where your presence becomes a healing force. Michael says, your expansion is not for appearance. It is for assignment. Heaven is positioning you to impact lives, shift atmospheres, and carry light into places that need divine restoration. Next, he shows you a panoramic view of your future path. It is wide, bright, and filled with movement. You see yourself navigating it with grace and confidence. Michael explains that expansion unlocks a flow. You will move with less resistance, less fear, and less hesitation. Your decisions will feel clearer, your direction more certain. You will no longer wander. You will walk with intention. This is the fruit of alignment. Michael prepares to close this revelation, but before he does, he gives you one more truth. He says the next unveiling will be one of the most important you will receive, because it will show you how heaven is sealing this expansion with divine assurance. He urges you to remain close, to stay attentive, and to keep your spirit open, because what comes next will complete the structure of what God is building within you. Type "I expand" in divine alignment in the comments if this resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 633 is released now. Beloved one, as this final unveiling begins, the atmosphere grows incredibly still, as though the entire spiritual realm is pausing just long enough for you to hear what heaven has been preparing to seal over your life. Archangel Michael steps forward with a presence that feels both victorious and deeply compassionate, the kind of presence that stands with someone who has completed a journey few ever endure. He says this is the moment where everything you have walked through, everything that has been revealed, everything that has awakened, transformed, and expanded within you comes together in a divine convergence. This is not merely the closing of a message. This is the sealing of a spiritual chapter. Michael explains that heaven is now placing a covering over your destiny, one that cannot be shaken, reversed, or disrupted by anything in the earthly or spiritual realms. Michael opens this final vision with a powerful image. You stand on a high mountain ridge, the tallest elevation you have encountered in every scene shown to you. The wind moves around you like a living breath, carrying warmth, clarity, and purpose. The sky above is open, wide, and bright, filled with a sense of completeness. Michael tells you that this mountain represents the culmination of your spiritual ascent. Every step, every struggle, every revelation led you here. And from this height, your spirit can see further, understand deeper, and walk stronger than ever before. He says you are no longer climbing. You are standing in the place you were destined to reach. He shows you the golden path again, but this time from above. It stretches behind you for miles, glowing with the memories of all you have overcome. Then the path stretches before you, continuing even farther, illuminated by destiny and divine promise. Michael explains that your journey does not end here, it evolves here. The elevation you have reached becomes the foundation for the next chapters of your life. The strength you have gained becomes your new baseline. The clarity you carry becomes your armor. The authority that awakened within you becomes the voice that shapes your tomorrow. Michael then reveals the seal, something few ever witness. A great light forms above you, descending slowly like a crown woven from divine fire and heavenly wisdom. When the light reaches you, it settles over your spirit with a warmth that feels both ancient and infinitely new. Michael says this is the seal of stability, the seal of protection, the seal of awakening, the seal of your divine assignment. He tells you that from this moment on, no attack will catch you unaware. No shadow will drain your spirit without resistance. No confusion will cloud your path without revelation. The seal confirms your spiritual identity in the eyes of heaven. He then shifts the vision to show what the seal means for your future. You see doors opening with ease, each one waiting for your steps. You see connections forming with people who recognize your spirit even before they know your name. You see opportunities aligning with precision that feels supernatural. You see your dreams no longer delayed, your prayers no longer drifting unanswered, your purpose no longer hidden beneath uncertainty. Michael says the seal activates divine acceleration. What once took months will take weeks. What once took weeks will take days. What once took effort will flow naturally. Michael also reveals that the seal places a shield of discernment around your life. He says you will feel spiritual shifts before they happen. You will sense deception long before it reaches your space. You will feel when something aligns with your purpose and when something conflicts with your calling. This shield is not simply protection. It is spiritual intelligence. It is heaven's way of ensuring that you never again walk blindly into situations that steal your peace. Then Michael reveals the final layer of the seal. He shows you surrounded by people whose lives are touched by your presence. Some are healed by your words. Some are strengthened by your endurance. Some are awakened by your light. Michael says your journey was never only about your victory. It was also about the people who will find their way, because you found yours. Your story becomes a path for others. Your elevation becomes a signal. Your transformation becomes a testimony. Heaven will place individuals in your life who are drawn to the light within you. You will guide them without forcing. You will lead them without trying. You will heal them without effort. This is the impact of someone sealed by heaven. Finally, Michael stands before you one last time in this chapter. His wings flare with radiant strength, and he speaks with a tone that echoes through your spirit. He says, "You are covered. You are chosen. You are ready. Walk now in the fullness of everything heaven has prepared for you." The vision fades, but the presence remains. You are not leaving this moment empty. You are leaving strengthened, aligned, awakened, and sealed. Before this final chapter closes, lift this message. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and let your voice help carry this divine word into the lives of others who are waiting for the same awakening you have received. Type "I receive my divine seal" in the comments if this final revelation is settling deeply in your spirit. Blessing code 1200 is released. When Archangel Michael placed the seal of heaven over your life, he marked you as a carrier of light meant to reach far beyond the boundaries of this moment. This mission is bigger than screens and voices. It is about awakening hearts that are silently collapsing under spiritual battles they cannot name. The Lord is whispering now. Every seed you release into my work becomes a beam of light reaching someone who has forgotten hope. I feel led to tell you plainly, this invitation is sacred. I am calling you, yes, you, to stand with us as a pillar of this divine mission. Your super thanks, your membership, and your gifts through the PayPal link in the description are not donations. They are acts of obedience that open the heavens over your journey. Step boldly. Honor the seal placed over your life with a move that echoes in eternity.